Talk a little bit about the contracting process, both from conceptual options point of view and from your own when you did this.
A contract in surrogacy is very long. I will tell you, when I came into my appointment here, the first time I came into our office and I filled out my comp package. So you sign a comp package that is maybe 5 pages long. That's what's utilized for your contract later on. So when I got my contract and it was 60 to 70 pages long, I was like, whoa, there's a lot that goes into this. Every little detail is ironed out in that contract. And luckily, I had a representative to go over that with me. So I had my own lawyer, and my intended parents had their own lawyer, so that our representatives, there are no conflicts of interest, and we have our own representatives for our own parties. So I hopped on the phone with my lawyer, and we went over everything in that contract just to make sure that I understood all of my obligations, everything that was going to be given to me, and all of my intended parents' obligations. So it's really important to go through that contract with a fine-tooth comb, and also to make sure that everything you discussed in your initial intake meeting with your agency is in the contract correctly.
So when you went through that contracting process, was that with Conceptual Options?
I did go through my journey and the whole contract process with Conceptual Options prior to being employed here.
Right. So talk a little bit about when you went through that with your attorney. I mean, I imagine that at first you're like, oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into? Just seeing that pile of, what, 70 pages?
Yes.
And then what the difference was when you walked out of that meeting. I mean, did it feel like, oh my gosh, I'm well taken care of here and I don't have to worry?
I have to be honest, when I got my contract, I really couldn't believe that someone was going to actually give me this amount of money to do something that was my own dream. So beyond that, though, when I came away from my meeting with my lawyer, I knew I was being taken care of. There were so many things in place. There was a life insurance policy. Here at Conceptual Options, we've never had to utilize that. But just because we've never used a life insurance policy in over 20 years doesn't mean that they don't outfit us with one. I wanted to make sure that my family would be taken care of if the absolute worst came to be. I felt like I was taken care of during that meeting. My lawyer held my hand, I felt like, and walked me through something that I was not well versed in. I don't read contracts. I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to contracts. I was really happy to have somebody there with me to explain everything.
Boy, oh boy. And when you finished that meeting, did you find that you were in a super solid place about it?
When I finished up my meeting with my lawyer, I definitely felt like I concretely did the right thing by notarizing that contract and moving forward with my journey. It's something that I have thought about for a long time, and I personally would not have gone through with the contract unless I was 100% in this. What that meeting did for me was solidify the fact that everybody knows their boundaries in this. Everybody knows what's expected of them, what the end result is, and all parties involved. It was a very in-depth process, and the contract is very specific. So it almost made me feel a little less scared, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. Totally. That's what I would think, that, that initial, you're looking like, oh my gosh, what am I getting into? And
right.
You realize on the backside of that meeting that, oh my gosh, this is about them taking care of me.
this is happening.
Yeah.